Hey everyone, welcome back to Kpop Besties, episode 6. I am Wendy, I'm one of your Kpop boss besties, and this is Warren,
Hello, I'm the other K-pop bestie.
the other one. Welcome back to this episode. Thanks for tuning in. And this week we are talking all things Stray Kids. We should celebrate. Oh gosh, I am not ready. I don't have their light sticks.
I was just
I
thinking,
got
I have so much Stray Kid like shirts and hoodies and stuff. I don't have one on.
poorly prepared.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, Stace.
I'm not even in the
Don't
right
come up for us. You know what?
studio today either.
I do have my these aren't the official photo cards. These were freebies from KCON, but I
Nice.
guess because they were just hanging out by my desk. But yeah, we
Those
are.
Felix and Bangchan.
Yeah, it's yeah, Felix and Banchan.
There's a glare, so okay, I see it. Cool.
We wanted to make this episode a Stray Kids focused episode because we're so excited for their release of Maxident, their
Yeah.
mini album. Warren did a whole bunch of reactions,
Oh
I think,
gosh.
leading up to the release of the album. Question for you: did you receive your album yet?
Oh,
Or
the
no?
one
'Cause I
that I
know you ordered
pre-ordered?
it.
No, I have not.
When
I
does
haven't
that?
checked the mail in a few days, but I'm
Oh,
pretty sure it would get delivered right to my door
well,
because
definitely let
all
us
the other ones
know
do.
when you get it, because you got like the signed copy, did you not?
No, that was for Itsy,
Ah, I'm getting confused.
which I haven't got yet.
Oh my gosh!
I just realized that.
Check your tracking.
I just got my official Midzy package for when I became like an official, of the fan club.
Yeah.
And that was like months and months ago. And I just got it last week or this week. So sometimes it takes a little bit.
I think you should check your tracking just to make sure.
Yeah, I'll have to look in the email or something. But
Or
no,
your
I
neighbor.
yeah, I don't have no. I really
They're like
hope not.
jamming to
Yeah,
it's.
right. They're like, what is this? Let's take this. If it
If
gets people into Itsy, fine. Take it. It's fine.
But to start, I want to talk about our initial reaction to the album as a whole, and then get into our favorite songs. So let's start with you, Warren. When you popped in, let's say on Spotify, because you don't have the CD yet, like when you started listening to them, what was your overall thoughts on this mini album?
You use Spotify, huh? I use Apple Music.
Oh. I use both. I interchange them.
Oh, there you go. I really, really like it. Like you said, I reacted to a lot because I actually looked at the other day on my other channel. I was like, I did so much Stray Kids things, like 9 things in a row. I was like, but they did like a teaser for each song, like every day in a row. And then they did like a teaser of the album, and then they did a teaser of each individual song in one. They just did so much. And originally I was like, I think I'm gonna love this album. And as I heard more of the teases, I was like, I know I'm gonna love this album. And then it finally came out, and I was very happy. Good. I really like it, and I really like that we got the subunits as well.
Yes.
Still, because it's a mini album, right? They could have very well not have done that. But we still got it, and I really enjoyed it. What about you?
I really enjoyed it as well. Obviously, Case 143 is such a banger. But the songs with the subunits, I was really surprised because I feel like No Easy and Ordinary hits like tonally hits harder, like the beats are harder.
They are.
And this one, they gave us more of a variety of different genres and different inspirations of music. So I really like this one. Like I would say for Ordinary, the one that sounds the most different is probably Muddy Water.
Yeah,
because I had a very
old school.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
I didn't hip hop
particularly like that.
But the messaging is really cool.
Yeah, it grew on me. I should have said I didn't particularly like it at first, but then it grew on me because I was like, this is different.
Yeah. And that's what I really like about Stray Kids, is what probably you also really like about Stray Kids. They was that group that, because Banchan put them all together, a self-maintaining, self-producing group that's had a lot of success. I think us as fans, as stays, we're really lucky because they just feed us music all the time. They feed us V-Lives and TikToks and whatever all the time. Like, and we're still hungry for more. And just to give you guys a little bit of like factual stuff for the stats for this album.
Oh yeah,
they're selling out. So this album, and this, I'm sure the numbers have gone way up, but it has already accumulated over 2 million copies sold in less than a week after release. And I believe even the pre-sale was smashing records. So it
It
says
was like
here,
2.2 million in pre-sales or something like that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So Maxident is now Stray Kids' highest selling album in the first week of sales, which surpasses Ordinary sales. In
Mm-hmm.
just this first week, it sold over 850 um, thousand million. I think that's yeah, that's
Yeah.
insane. And obviously those numbers, it's crazy because they're a fourth generation group.
Yeah.
And they're still relatively new, but they've grown so much since their debut.
They are. I said this because when I can't remember, I was reacting to something and I mentioned that I was like, their pre-sales are insane, and the only ones to have, they were like the third biggest pre-sales, and
Yeah.
BTS holds the other two. And I was like, BTS has been around since 2015,
2016,
13,
something
no,
like that.
2013, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, BTS formed just
Let's just fact check that
2013,
real quick.
2013. Yeah. So they have a significant amount of years on them. 5 years on them, right? So I was like, this is really cool because Stray Kids are getting huge, and it's like BTS are the only people who beat them, and they have 5 years on them. So it's kind of like they're gonna get really big, and it's interesting because like I find it really cool that this is a mini album that is their top seller now, when like you said, No Easy and Ordinary were like so good. And I feel like this is, a mini album, and for that to outperform the other two, I feel like it's just because they're that much bigger from those other two albums, which
Absolutely.
is really cool to see, because I'm just like, okay, everyone's about to really know who Stray Kids is. And it
Yeah.
does help that they did just do a world tour. So I think they probably got a lot of new fans there as well. And even
Yeah.
like the fans who are like maybe like casual stays and like, oh yeah, I'll go see them after watching the performer, are like, wow, like I really love this group. So I think that
I
really
mean,
helps as well.
oh, absolutely. You're 100% correct on that. Take our friend Bestie of the show, Laura, for an
Laura,
example, who is a
yeah.
die-hard BTS. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously on the show, we love multi-stands. We feel like you should
Right.
like as many groups as you want and go to all the concerts you want. And when you and I were planning to go see Stray Kids, it was actually Laura who linked me and you up in a text message.
Right. Yeah.
And was like, let's all go see Stray Kids together. And I was kind of surprised because I was like, oh, well, she dedicated so much of her time and money to go and see BTS.
Yeah.
I just not saying that she couldn't go and see Stray Kids, but I was surprised that she basically had like energy to go, because
Right.
like the concerts are exhausting, and she's a casual fan, and she knew a couple of their songs, and she was whatever, I don't even think she knew the like she could recognize them by face at that point yet.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't just pick one out, but she went to the concert, texted me literally the night she got home, and she said, please pick me up a light stick, I'm a fan now.
Yeah.
She's picked her bias.
Nah.
She
Who's her
loves
bias?
them. Do you want to guess? If you know Laura and like, I don't know if you know her biases.
Who's her bias at BTS?
JK, Jin, and J-Hope. Oh, all the J's.
Is it Han?
I think she likes Han a lot. It's actually Bangchang.
I was gonna say Bangchang. That's
you
what I
should have
was
gone with
gonna
your
say,
first instinct.
because I was gonna say, does she see Bangchang's abs and like now she now she's like, okay, hi Bangchang.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, Bangchang's doing concerts in crop tops. Who can
Right.
blame the stays?
Exactly. And then
he's in very good shape.
And then Han always picks up his shirts.
So funny.
So that's why I was like, I figured it was Bangchang.
Yeah. So we love that to hear stories like this when people go from casual stay, and then it was because their performance. It wasn't because Bangchang lifted his shirt and did an ab flash. It was because she said their energy is so good on stage, and their performance. She saw that and she felt it. She's like, oh my gosh, these guys have something. And so she started following the group a little bit more seriously, and we love that.
Yeah, and they sing like really live,
Yes,
like more than
mics
most groups
are
do.
on.
Right, yeah. And they don't have a lot of like backup tracks singing with them as well too. Like it's
Yeah.
them for the most part. So it's like that's really impressive.
Yeah,
They move a
100%.
lot.
They move a lot.
They
Very
move a
stable
lot.
vocals,
Yeah.
especially Chan. His vocals are super stable.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song on the album? The
Yeah,
mini album?
it's Case 143.
Nice.
Yeah, I really, really like it. And it's just that chorus just like gets me. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. And this the 143 is so catchy.
Yeah.
And I've been like casually learning the 1, 4, 3.
I love you.
Yeah, casually learning all the choreo to it, just casually because I just watched that. The music video itself is like, wow,
it's insane, huh?
Wow, like the part where I think it's Lino jumps from the top to the bottom in the one
practical
scene.
too.
I was like, wow, yeah.
Did you see the behind the scene? It's practical.
How
they set up that green
yeah.
screen. Oh,
and he
incredible.
jumped down and yeah, just the things that they did.
And the kids were on top watching.
Right. And I did a whole breakdown of the music video actually. Like I did a reaction and then I did a breakdown because I was like, how they portrayed the lyrics to the music video, I found so good. Like because it's like they have themselves falling in love and then like the police and it's like the heart and the brain.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you're in love, but your brain's like, back the hell up. Like, you've been hurt before. You know what I mean? Like, and the lyrics are kind of just like, I want to tell you how I feel. I want to go all in. And then it's like the police are portrayed. They're trying to stop them and like figure out what's going on. And then the police unplug the heart. Like, because they're like inside the body. And you can see the heart in the background and it's like all lit up. And then they unplug it and then it's turned off. But then Seungmin rewinds it and then they plug it back in and then, and then it's on again, and that's kind of like, screw it, I'm just gonna go for it, because then the police never show up again, so they're like, screw my brain, we're just gonna be in love and go for it. And I was like, that's so clever. Like, I really like this music video. I like the concept and the song. Just, we were talking about hard-hitting songs. It hits hard.
Yes. It's so good. Their lyrics and the way they play with it is the wordplay on all of their songs. There's always like extra meaning. And you know this, I'm a fan of their K-pop creators, Andy and Jazz. And because they're Korean speakers as well, Andy really like gets into the lyrics and like break them down. And because he's able to speak Korean, he can kind of explain a little bit more about the slang of it or like the wordplay and how that sounds like this. It's really cool. So, and they're like hour-long videos, and I just sit there. I'm like, oh, I'm learning so much. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's hard to pick a song that's like to call my favorite because I really enjoy the album as a whole.
Sure.
But I feel like I'm having Three Racha. I freaking love them to death.
I was gonna say, is Three Racha your favorite song?
I don't know. Taste is kind of edging it out.
Oh, really? Okay.
I feel like if Red Light had a sibling,
it would be Taste. That makes sense. I feel that
it is a sexy. The beat is too sexy for me. It is.
They still, I think Three Racha still wrote, because they did. I think they wrote everything, but the one with Seungmin and Can't Stop, right? I think they wrote everything but that one, if I'm correct.
I don't have the album in front of me.
I think I remember seeing that,
but I think so. I think that sounds familiar.
Yeah. So they still,
just Taste, so good.
Yeah, I really like Taste. I really like Three Racha. I mean, truthfully, it's a really great mini album. It's one of those where it's like I can really listen to every song.
Beat after, and even we get circus Korean version,
Korean
as well.
Style. Yeah. I was like, I like it. I'm so used to the Japanese version.
Yeah, I sang along wrong with it the other day.
Yeah, that exactly. I was like that. I still kind of like say the wrong things sometimes because like, what is the difference? In the Japanese, are like all lights off. And then in the Korean, they're like, the show starts now, like in that one part where they like whisper it.
So it can rhyme with the Korean.
Exactly, right. And I was like, I was like, I always say that wrong.
It's so
lights
good.
Off. I was like,
at the concert, we'll just scream whatever.
Right, exactly.
Scream it all at their next concert. And with every comeback, whether it's mini album, full album, or just a single, they have tons and tons of stages. So they've been
Ah,
focusing on Case 143
yeah,
because that is the title
title track.
song.
Yeah.
And they won so far too. I think they won the M Countdown and they
Mhm.
won Show Champion.
Hmm.
That's all I remember seeing, which I'm so happy for them about. Do you have you seen any of their lives
I
stages?
oh okay. Yes. I was just say my favorite. I was like, wait, it's not a live stage. Studio Chum,
Oh,
it's a performance, right? They're
yes.
not singing, but how Studio Chum does everything, I just like I love it, right? Like the lighting, and it's so, to me, it's like so big. Like
Mm-hmm.
the room that they're in, it's not only like really like wide, but it's also very, very tall. So it's just, I don't know, it just visually, and the way they work the cameras, they're always like turning them and zooming in. It's just really, really cool. Um, that's my favorite. It's not a live performance.
Yeah.
That was my favorite, out of all the stuff they've been doing for Case 143. That's been my favorite so far. But what about you?
I mean, Studio Chum just it's 4K, so if you watch it
Right,
on the
right. It's
TV,
so, that's what
it's
I'm saying. Like,
fantastic.
it's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. So the live stages, I feel like Stray Kids are so good
Hmm.
on stage, and so professional, and they can recover very quickly from any tiny mistakes that our untrained eyes
Right.
usually don't pick it up until somebody makes a video about it, and then we're like, wow, I would have never picked it up. And that's why they train and train and train so they can be super professional on stage. I typically, and I'm not saying they did bad because they did fantastic, but for me, when I watch live stages, they're all really good,
Hmm.
but I typically don't like watching the very first one, their very first live
Mm.
stage, whatever maybe, because they are so, you can tell that they are so focused on giving a solid, very good first performance. Like that's going to set the tone for their comeback, right?
Right, right.
So they're making sure they practice, they're not making any mistakes, and they're so focused. Which is great, but I like to watch the performances maybe the third or the fourth live stage because then they've loosened up
They've loosened
and
up,
they're
yeah.
having fun and they're playing their little butt hunt game, with each other, and like
Right, right, right,
that's
right.
like they're being chaotic kids. So I usually
Yeah.
like those a little bit more. I don't have a specific favorite, but watching, like, if you watch the difference between their very first live stage
Okay.
for Maxident versus like their later ones, you can see the difference where everybody's more relaxed and they can play
Yeah.
around, and if they mess up, like it's not as big of a
It's
deal.
not right, yeah. I
Yeah,
like that, actually. I never really thought about that. That's a good point.
you can see it a lot in, it was either God's Menu or it was Thunderous, where it was real. That's when I noticed it, and I can't remember which song it was, but it was so distinct that they were all serious
Mm.
for that first one, and then like I watched another one, 3 days later, and they were just being the chaotic kids that we know
Funny.
and love. I'm
Yeah.
like, where
That's
was
funny.
this? Like that's the energy I want.
Yeah.
Like Felix and I think it was Sorikun. It was Felix and Hyunjin because they played their
Mhm.
little hand game when they
Oh,
have to
right,
clasp
right, right.
hands
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like cracking up at each other. Like I love
Yeah.
seeing that. I
It's
love that.
it's also nice too for this new one, because for Ordinary, for Maniac, Felix was hurt. So when
Yeah.
they did all the performances for Maniac, he would like walk in and then he'd walk out and then he'd walk in and walk out. So I'm just kind of like,
That
that
made
kind of
me
stinks.
sad.
Yeah, like that kind of
Yeah.
stinks. So it's nice to see him back in. And I mean, I was worried about it when we were going to see them, not only because some of
Yeah.
them got COVID, Felix included, but I was like, is his back okay? Is he going to be able to like
Yeah.
perform? But he did. He was
He
great.
went
Now
hard.
he's
He was
back at
being
it, and
Felix.
Hyunjin
Speaking of
went hard. He was sweating so much. I
speaking
just
of
remember.
Hyunjin, do you notice? Remember how he hurt his hand? I think it was at the
I
Anaheim
did
show.
see that. It's
It's still
still,
wrapped
yeah, it's
up.
still wrapped up. I did see that. Yeah.
I can't believe how serious. I like I just didn't think it was that. I don't know what happened. Like if a door closed on it
I,
or what, but like
isn't that
that
what happened?
worries
I
me.
thought
I
like the
don't
hotel or
know.
something. No, I didn't notice that until the Studio Tune performance. I was
Yeah, it's
like,
wrapped
wait,
up.
that's not like part of his outfit. I was like, his hand still hurt. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, makes me
Yeah.
sad.
I wonder if like he maybe like slipped and fell and hurt it again, or if it's just
Yeah, and
not,
they just want to stabilize it.
I mean, they did Ordinary at the World Tour, and now they're already back with. I mean,
KCON, and they're back doing this.
Akon, right? Yeah, I forgot about that. We saw them there too, and then now they're doing this, and it's just like that. That's a lot on your body. Maybe it just hasn't, because so much stress has been on it, hasn't had enough time to recover.
Yeah, they need a rest. Hopefully, after this, they're getting I don't know. I don't feel
JYP
like they don't know how to rest their artists.
JYP groups, because the same with Twice, they did the new album, the world tour. They didn't do KCON there. I'm actually surprised Stray Kids did KCON, but
Yeah.
and then the new album already again, and it's like, well, and I know it's because everyone's like, it's like award season, right? So everyone threw out the new albums. Like Mamamoo did one. We're about to get another one from Idol. You know, who did Dreamcatcher did one the other day. Everyone's doing stuff, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I guess it's just that crunch to like do something before that, you know, for award season. But yeah. So, but I do I love Case 143, and it is good to see them all back.
Yeah, it is. And you know, when they have comebacks, any group, they have a lot of scheduled appearances.
Sure.
You know, not just on the Korean TVs, but on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And before I dive into this next bit, because they did a dive studio, it was just Felix and Chan, but they did it with Eric Nam. But before we get into that, there was another one, and I can't remember. I think it was just Stray Kids in this one. There was no guest host or anything like that. But they were talking about the lyrics for Case 143. And Chanbing was giving Banchan a hard time about the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that part. And he said he was joking, obviously. And he was like, I don't know why you think this makes sense. You're so bad. You're an English speaker, but you're so bad at English. And Chan's like, what do you mean? And he said, you skipped a letter. And I was like, what do you mean he skipped a letter? I was like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. He didn't skip a letter. And then he said, fine, what comes after G? And then he asks Felix the HIJKL, and he goes, then why do you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G? I want to send my, and I was like, oh, wait, because it's funny to think because the three of them right. For him to think of it that way. And Chan's excuse was he didn't want like the H. I mean, I know why he didn't, because
he's ending on G, and then he's saying I.
But Chanbing saw it as the alphabet.
Is like, no, you missed, like, it was so.
You gotta watch the clip for that. I'll send it to you.
Was that on?
It's so funny.
Actually,
if you want to just type in, for everybody who's listening, if you haven't seen it yet, just go on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube and just type in Chanbing ABCDFG. It will pop up. There's so many videos, so many edits of it. It really, really cracks me up.
Was it in that one video where it was like something about like Stray Kids take a friendship test or something like that? I started watching that.
I don't think it was that one, because I remember the background being different. I don't think it was an American thing. It was a Korean thing.
Stray Kids jumping doesn't get the ABCDFG part.
Is that it? You're watching it?
I can watch it right now. I'm just laughing at the title. All right. H hate. How can H be hate? It could be heart as well.
It could be heart as well. Gotta love Chanbing. Gotta love him.
Is he's but no, Felix is your favorite. Felix is your bias.
Felix and Chanbing are both my biases.
And Chanbing are both your biases.
Yeah, that's my bias line. With Banchan being the wrecker.
Oh, okay, same.
Yeah?
Like probably exactly the same. Because it's
my gosh.
It's really hard. Especially when a group's got now 8 people.
Yes.
It's hard. It's like asking me who's your favorite in Twice. It's like it changes every day.
All the time, because they're so good. They're all so good.
It's almost like you don't have to choose a bias. But I literally, it's like Jongmin for me, because just his overall attitude and rapping skills is just like, insane. I love when he raps. It's so good. But Felix with his deep voice and his looks. But you could say the same thing about Hyunjin, any of them, Han, right? You know, really any of them. But Bangchan is such a great leader. It's just it's really hard to not love him.
I agree. I feel like everyone is either, you know, half Banchan as their bias, or he somehow wrecks their bias.
Right,
line.
Exactly. Well,
he's so good. And speaking of conversations, you know, with Banchan, Felix, so they did the Dive Studio interview with Eric, and I think it's close to an hour. And it's nice to see the two of them, being so relaxed and comfortable
Yeah,
to
those
have
are
this
great.
conversation with Eric Nam. And
In
one of the things
Korean
I wanted to
English.
in Korean and English. It was mainly English, but some
Right, yeah.
Korean mixed in, which was nice. And they were eating food, so it was nice to see that they were just like watching three friends hang out, which was great. But
I
there was
love that, yeah.
one, right?
Mhm.
And there was this one incident. So the one segment that I think that really surprised me, because these kids have been through it all together. You know, Banchan picked them all out. He put the group together. They debuted together as a group, so they're probably closer than brothers. And they said this one thing that Banchan didn't know about. So Eric asked, "What songs do each of them use for their audition for JYP?"
Oh.
And Banchan went to answer, and then Felix said, "Oh," he said, "Oh, I actually didn't sing.
Oh.
I just danced." And they're like, "So what else did you do?" He's like, "No, I literally just
I just
danced."
danced.
And the shock and the different range of emotion that Banchan
Yeah,
went through in that
yeah.
split second was so funny, that he was confused, hurt, surprised, a little mad, because he was like, "What? You didn't sing? They had me do everything. I had to play the piano, I had to play the guitar, I had to sing, I had to rap, I had to dance. I did everything."
He's like, was I just not cute enough? Like,
I feel like Felix came in and introduced himself. "Hi, I'm Felix," and they were like, "Oh, what?
Felix.
Okay, you're in. We gotta see. We gotta. It's a very unique voice."
Well, he has great visuals. He
Yes.
really does. And I think there's also something about having somebody who can speak English so well.
Yes.
I think it's a big beneficial thing, because they have to think about stuff like that, right? Like, yes, they're a
Mm-hmm.
K-pop group, but they do have to think internationally. Like, you know, when they go on tour or like interviews and stuff like that, like they're gonna need somebody who can speak English really well. And I mean, Bangchan can too, but I guess when you're gonna be like the leader of a group, you have to be well rounded in like
Yeah.
everything. So it's like it makes sense. Like if they were eyeing him to be leader and then like put the group together and everything like that, he'd have to like really show like, are you up to this task? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So that makes
Yeah.
sense. But I could definitely I would be the same way. I'd be like, what? I did everything.
You just danced?
You showed up and looked pretty and do a few dance moves.
You just showed up here with your deep voice.
Right? Yeah.
Oh gosh, we love this group so much. We
Oh,
can't wait
so
to
much.
see everything else they're going to feed us over the rest of their career. So let's get to talk about what got us into Stray Kids. When did you first, I guess, become aware of them?
Miro.
Ooh.
And I remember it started and I heard Felix's deep voice.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I specifically remember. I
Okay.
was driving in the car on a very long trip,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, this was years ago, right? So I can't tell you exactly when, but I actually
Mm-hmm.
remember specifically where it was. It was like in the mountains of Colorado. It was like a cross country trip. And I had like this sticky thing on my dashboard, and I just put my phone there and I would just put on music videos, because in case y'all don't know this, music videos are mixed and mastered better than they are on normal like CDs and audio.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you hear a music video, the audio will be better than it is normally on a track. So I always just like to put music videos on in my car, not necessarily watch them, but I like the audio better, and I do watch them. Let's be honest, but only when it's safe. So I remember it came on and I was like, what is this? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, who is this? And I like replayed it and I was like, I actually like this song and I liked how different it was. And I thought it was really, really cool. And I just from there, I was like, oh, it's a JYP group, because I love Twice and they're from JYP. So I was like, huh, this is interesting. And I was like, oh, so that's when it started. And I think you even asked like when we saw them, like, what are you most excited to hear? I was like, I think Miro is probably, because that's the song that got me into them, and it's crazy good live. So it's
That's a great way to be introduced to the group.
yeah. Well, what about you?
It's funny. It wasn't a music video, but I was also out and about. So this song came out in 2020, and I don't think it was like one of the title songs. I'm not sure though. I was at an Asian dessert place. I think it was a shaved ice place,
Hmm.
and
They were
it
playing
was
music videos on
they were
TV, weren't they?
playing. They were usually, but the TVs were all off that day, so they just
Oh.
had audio playing. So I was sitting there eating, and I was like jamming to some of the other songs, and then the song Question came on. And I never heard of it. And my ears picked up at the part that says not the inside my head too many questions, but it was like the to be or not to be, this or the other one, that part. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, wait, this is like such an interesting tone. So that's all I had to go on, but it stuck in my head so much that I ended up looking it up when I got home.
Ah.
And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of That Is Stray Kids. So I like watched their debut like show, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And this is when they had 9 members. And then I just kind
Woojin?
of
Yeah, he was still in it. Yeah.
and then I kind of like,
Same for me. Yeah.
yeah, it's not crazy because
Mhm.
Miro, yeah, they were still 9 members.
Yep.
And it was a while after, like, I kind of like, oh, I was like, oh, they're cool. But then I stopped looking into their album. I didn't like invest in like an album, or I watched some, music videos. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then Kingdom came along, the
Yeah.
competition show. And I was like, oh, cool. Look at all these cool
Yeah, you've
bands
told
that are
me about that.
together.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And so it's funny, I watched just for like, I knew most of the groups, but I didn't know them well enough. And I was like, oh, let me just educate myself. And like, I was in for a good time because, they're all going to be good, and they're
Of
all
course.
good. But Stray Kids' performance blew me out of the water.
Yeah.
And I think I became a stay because of that show.
That's awesome. Well, and that's a big part to me of them, of like what makes them so great, is they're such great performers.
Yeah.
I won't say who because I don't like bad mouthing any group, and I do really like this group.
Yes.
But I watched them, one of their stage performances, and I'm just like, it's just, they need to get a little better. And it's just so great when you watch Stray Kids, because you're just kind of like, they're so good. They like they go all out, and when they're not like necessarily, I don't want to say not going all out, but it's kind of like you said, it's like you can see them very serious and like really working, and then you can see them having fun.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun.
And you know what's crazy about Kingdom? Have you watched any of it?
Oh yeah.
What's crazy is that they won the whole thing with one member out.
Yeah.
Because there was that whole thing with Hyunjin that was happening. And I looking back, I feel so bad because I feel like Hyunjin worked so hard. Like, I was watching some of the behind the scenes, and him practicing, he practiced so hard. And to have your entire schedule halted because of the allegation was kind of was a bummer. So I am happy that the kids also won, and that they can all celebrate together as a group.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite album so far, counting this latest one, Maxident?
Ooh.
I know it's hard.
I feel like I'm more inclined to say No Easy.
Same.
You too? Yeah. There's so many hard hitting, fantastic songs. I mean, yeah, they're like Thunderous, Domino. Like, I'm just gonna pull it up now because I don't want to like. They've done so many recently that I don't want to mix it up, because like Charmer, that's on Ordinary, right?
That's Ordinary.
That's Ordinary. Yeah.
And they got Cheese.
Domino. They started off with Cheese, and it's just, it's so funny. That song is so funny to me, especially the part at the end. Felix is just like
naming off the cheeses.
So like, I'm like, I don't know why this works so well, but it
with
works.
His deep voice.
Right. Oh, Sick. I'm so sick. And The View. I like The View right now. And then
I love that song.
Red Lights.
Yes.
Surfing, which ITZY did. They performed. Oh, and this one, Mixtape.
Island Cry. Oh,
yeah, Mixtape. Oh, does not get enough recognition.
I know.
So many people don't even know that song because it's a mixtape, and I'm like, it's such a good. It's like so weird how it's like. It's calm, but still the rapping in it is so like quick and fast, but calm. And I'm just like, how do they do this? This is fantastic. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anyways, yeah.
I love that one.
And then the like, I don't know if it's like flutes or like the dun 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 dun. I don't know what they use for that, but it sounds really great as well. Yeah, that's probably my favorite album.
Yeah, I really, really like that one a lot. Like I like them all, but there was something about No Easy that really jumps out at me.
Yeah. Well, I think. Do I want to say this? I think Thunderous is my favorite song.
Ooh.
Just how Changbin comes in and just hits right away. Just like, yeah.
Nice.
Maybe. I don't want to.
Maybe. It'll change tomorrow.
It'll change, right? Yeah. It'll change. It'll change. So, yeah. Anyway. But I think that's my favorite album.
And then I guess to wrap up the episode, since we're talking about favorite album, favorite song on that album, do you have a favorite live performance, like a song that you enjoy seeing them perform live the most?
I found myself, because what I do is I go to the gym mostly every day, and I'll typically run before or after for like 20 minutes or do the elliptical, and I just watch music videos. And what I found myself watching the most is Maniac.
Ooh, okay.
And I think it's MTV. It's it's either MTV or like Jimmy Fallon or something like that. Where it starts with Felix like walking into like essentially like a vault or like a safe or something like that. And he's still hurt, but honestly, what really gets it for me is Bangchan in the beginning. He like does this little grunt when he sings his very first line. Yeah,
he does that.
Yeah, and it's like when he says lock. Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know why I like that so much. So I found myself watching that one over and over again. So probably that one, I guess. I don't know.
It's just hard to pick because they have such great energy.
It's very hard to pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you though? Sounds like you might have one in mind.
I do. And I, before we started today's episode, I kind of went back and I was like, what do I really enjoy watching? And I think we can say any of them and they're all so good. Sure. Something about Side Effects hits real hard for me. And that's an older one too. But it's just, it's not like it's that and All In. I think that's the two that I often go back and I watch and I'm like, whoa, it's just fun. Like I feel like they're having like one's kind of darker, serious tone and All In is like chaotic that I love about Stray Kids. So I feel like those are the two.
I mean they're
for today.
I haven't seen like a performance that I haven't liked.
Agreed.
Right? It's like
Agreed.
So they're awesome. I'm glad we just talked about them today.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like we should maybe do like a bi-monthly Stray Kids appreciation episode.
Yeah, right. Just because.
Just because. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know in the comments all the things. Do you have a favorite album, a favorite song, your favorite live performance, whatever it may be? Your bias. Let us know your bias. I was going to say drop an emoji below, but I don't know if they have an emoji for the quokka.
Yeah.
But
let us know what you thought about this album too.
Yes, absolutely.
What's your favorite song?
Yeah. Pop quiz. There's no wrong answer.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Well, if you enjoy all things K-pop, make sure you tune back in. We will be your K-pop besties forever. So subscribe, hit that like button, all that good stuff. And and comment what some of the other artists you want us to cover on this podcast.
Yes, please. Yes.
Let us know, even if it's the ones that we haven't talked about yet, and you think we might not know them, then we can do our homework and get into them.
I was gonna say I'd be more than happy to get into a new group, research a new group. No problem at all.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.